welcome back to our traditional interview, and thank you again for doing this.
Absolute pleasure. Good to see you. I can't believe it's been a year.
I can't believe it as well. It goes faster and faster every year.
I know.
So please tell me what happened within the last 365 days with you. What's new? What's up here? What happened to you guys back home?
Well, I mean, a lot has happened in 365 days, not just for the festival in the industry, but for the world.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on right now for people to contend with. And I think that's why we are very excited about the festival this year. As you know, it can be a real galvanizing moment for people to come together, to take stock of what's happening, especially within our industry, and look at some of the latest trends that are coming down the line, things that we need to be aware of that are hopefully going to propel us into the future.
Into the future, but let's have a look onto long-term relationships. What I was first keen to ask you is that you introduce a new subcategory. So there are no big new lions to win, but a lot has happened in between the lines.
Yes.
And this subcategory awards brand relationships that are longer than 3 years, right? The platform that they're building.
Exactly that. Long-term brand platforms.
Yeah. And why have you introduced that one in particular? Because for me, advertising can be scrolled away in a second and not seen anymore. So why this one in particular?
Well, it's exactly that. The eligibility of the awards is 1 year. But of course, you have advertising moving at the speed of culture. But also, to complement that, you do have these long-standing brand platforms. If you think of MasterCard's Priceless, if you think of Snickers's You're Not You and You're Hungry, you have these brilliant umbrella brand platforms that have lasted, in some cases, decades. So it's really giving the people to recognize longer-term thinking, brand-building work that surpasses and exceeds that 1 year eligibility period that we have. So looking forward to seeing the results. It's going to be fantastic.
Same. And I see that many creative agencies are sitting there talking to their clients. What's going on? What can we put in there? So, yeah.
It'll be a good one to win.
It will be a good one to win, definitely. When it comes to winning, you also have something new, that is the Creative Country of the Year.
Yes.
And we as Germans, we saw it is Brazil.
It is.
Obviously for us, because they were ranked almost every time under the top 4, I think.
Yeah.
So we do a tiny documentary, as we Germans are, to learn what's the secret sauce in there to maybe win it one day.
Fantastic.
So maybe you can tell us why you introduced, first of all,
the Germans not competitive at all.
Not competitive at all, not at all. So why have you introduced that one? And what's the secret? Maybe you can tell us what stands out when you look onto Brazil.
I'll tell you what people are telling me anyway. I think we wanted to introduce it because, yes, we are a global festival. We are a convening force for people from around the world coming together. But we wanted to bring more of a flavor of local creativity to the global stage.
Yeah.
And there are just some countries over the years that have just the most fantastic track record when it comes to winning work, when it comes to the ingrained culture of creativity that they have, that affects marketing, but also affects the broader nation as well. So Brazil very much fell into that category. And we look forward to seeing how they show up this week. It's going to be quite the carnival, I think.
Carnival, and we spoke already to some Brazilians. They told us it has something to do with cannibalism. Have you heard that?
I have not heard that. But what I have heard is, it comes from a historic limitation.
Yeah.
It's that whole thing about the beautiful constraint. In times of limitation, that's arguably when we become our most creative, our most collaborative, and where you have to infuse everything you do with the culture that's right in front of you.
Yeah, we will have our eyes open and learn and figure some stuff out later on. We will talk to Ed as well while you introduce that one. Yeah. So let's see what he tells us, and you will see our application maybe in there.
Maybe it'll be Germany next year.
Let's see, fingers crossed. Go Germany. Let's tick all the boxes on stuff that is new. So what is also new is the Global Creative Hub here.
Yes.
What were your idea or the team's idea behind that one, and what were the reactions from the countries behind it?
Yeah, it's been fantastic, really well received. And the whole idea with creating this global hub is that we have an opportunity, again, to bring local creativity to the global stage for people to learn from what's happening locally, but also the other way around as well. And so we've invited Mongolia this year, Saudi Arabia, we've got Brazil, of course, who have a presence there, among others. And we hope in time that it will continue to grow, because what we noticed was there were more government representatives coming, politicians, policymakers, and they're all coming to Cannes to understand how to put creativity not just at the heart of their marketing strategies, but at the heart of their country in order to unlock new creative economies. So it's a really interesting space. Looking forward to seeing how it comes together this year and learning from all the different cultures that will be represented.
What is interesting and what I can see, as I said, it's a traditional thing we both do here. We talk before the festival, and what has changed since we do this, since I see you as a CEO here, is also that it is getting so diverse within the jury rooms, now what you're doing with the global hub and everything. And what we can also see is that you doubled the investment in the ERA program. You also, after 10 important years, you did something to the Glass Lions as well. What does it mean for you personally, but also for your team, to work for a festival that has such core values and has a chance during this week and all through the year to bring this also into the world?
Yeah, great question. Well, it comes from a core value of inclusion. And what we started with was this belief that because we are a global community of people convening, that as much as possible, we want the festival to represent society rather than just reflect the industry that we serve. And that goes for the juries that we appoint, for the criteria that we use to select our speakers across all of our content stages. But it's also about the access we provide, right? So it's also about, as you say, making sure that we have a provision. This year it was €2 million worth of passes to people from underrepresented communities who would never normally get the chance to come. I think with Glass, 10 years old, can you believe it?
It's crazy. Time flies by.
Originally introduced to really showcase work that was shattering gender stereotypes. We've now expanded that so that we are considering many different minorities, different communities, different groups. So it has a much broader purpose this year. And so looking forward to seeing the winners that come through.
What we can also see, in Natasha Woodwall, your director of content at Lions, said it, this year's agenda captures the creative industry in a state of bold transformation. I think that is nothing we can just put under the carpet, as we say in Germany. So as a representative, what we also see is we already booked hotels almost and places for next year.
Wow.
So I guess you guys have to do almost the same. But the transformation goes so fast, and you don't know what's up tomorrow, what new technology and everything. How can you stay, I would say, also very agile to those transformation process as a festival?
Yeah, right, because there are many, and it's changing all the time. So I think the model really helps us with that. Our model is a call for content. So rather than us curating it based on our own knowledge, it's about making sure everyone around the world understands that anyone in the world can apply to be on the stage.
Yeah.
And so we have thousands and thousands of applications. And from that, you get to really see the breadth of specialisms, transformation projects, advancements in technology, and it gives us a really wide pool to choose from. And then it's a case of refining, evolving, editorializing until we get to that final cast of characters who we're going to see show up at the festival next week.
So then when I listen to you, you see the transformation process more as an opportunity to also change stuff, include new, we see technology included, entertainment included over the years. I think sports is quite big as well now. The creators, of course, don't forget those ones. But what can the creative industry take out of this transformation process? What do you think? What kind of opportunities they have?
Well, I think that we're having sports stars, Michelin-starred chefs, musicians, art directors, all converging in one place. that's very representative of the industry. There are so many intersections now. Like you only have to look to luxury, for example.
Yeah.
And in luxury, we're seeing a big trend, a big overlap with sports, especially the Olympics piece that we see probably later next week. And so I think what our audience tell us is that, yes, we absolutely want to understand how to be better at our day jobs, but we also want to be inspired by adjacent markets, adjacent creativity in different verticals. And here is the place to do that.
But I think what the creative industry is also staying in, almost like in a storm in at the moment, is we have Sir Martin Sorrell. As you have him on stage, we have him in the Weischer House as well. And obviously, when you have him, you talk about the relevance of media agencies and creative agencies. And I think what the festival can provide is, up being very high in the ranking with the awards they can win here. So how can the festival maybe also help to stay relevant and not being replaced by an AI?
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
I think with the agencies, they're having a good showing this year. Mm-hmm. We have a little more entries than we did last year, which I think is very indicative of how people still feel about creativity which is coming from agencies. But increasingly we have a huge brand presence here, so the clients are coming, which is an incredible sign because it demonstrates their continued investment in creativity that can drive business. And so I think in terms of the AI thing, we spoke about this last year. Mm-hmm. Of course, we're seeing more and more work with artificial intelligence imbued into the work itself. But through the entry form that we have, it is clearly signposted. I think we need that still, don't we? We need to be able to determine where there's been human intervention or AI intervention.
I mean, it's a new tool. So you also, when you have other tools being used, it's also in there when you're shooting a film or so. Yeah. I can see that we do this for quite a while now because this is a great bridge. You have all the brands here, and what you and your juries and your jury president last year, Harjot Singh, on stage also said is that it's always important to have a great idea first, to have an effect within the market, getting an ROI for a brand. And I think the festival really helps brands understanding how important still this great idea is to get a real effect within their target groups and what the goals they want to reach. So what is the festival, besides those days here, doing to support the message for the creative that it's still important to have a great idea to be effective?
I think that starts here with our juries who we've been briefing this week as they start their judging process. We remind them that we have always been and always will be about creativity first and foremost. But we want to award creativity that has a tangible impact in the art, whether that be driving a client's business, whether it be creating awareness or having a positive change. That impact has to be there. And that's reflected in the impact track that we have running through the festival. But throughout the year, increasingly, we're spending a lot of time providing marketers, especially with the tools, the evidence, the data they need to be able to connect what they do every day, creative marketing, with the boardroom growth agenda. And we do that through advisory, through Effie, who is now a part of the Lions family. And that has to be our core mission for the sake of the industry.
What is also your core mission is that you bring the trends out into the world. When the festival is over, everyone is talking about, oh, you have to go into that topic. So last year, for me, it definitely was female sports.
Yes.
That was amazing. I think it will be even bigger this year. Just a gut feeling by seeing some of your shortlists and so on. But what other trends have you maybe already heard when you had your ear on the jury rooms or saw what is entered into the competition?
I think it's really interesting to see the categories that have grown over the last year or so. Interestingly, business to business, B2B, is on the rise. And just a little exclusive from the jury room earlier.
Yeah, no one will hear it, just between you and me.
They were really complimenting the caliber of the work in B2B this year. So
B2B?
I think we can look forward to an exciting creative business to business Lion show next week.
That was so smart. It's 2 years ago you introduced that one, right? Am I right? Yeah, 2 years.
Into its year this year.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, let's see. Let's see how that goes. I'm also on luxury. I'm really interesting because last year I think that one was amazing as well.
Coming into its second year this year.
Yeah.
So as we said, the intersection with sport, I think, will be really interesting. The intersection with talent, of course. Lots of luxury brands now deciding to introduce celebrities or brand ambassadors in a much more explicit way. And I think we'll start to see that in the winning work coming through.
Yeah, let's see what comes up there. I have some final questions for you.
Okay.
What I see and hear when I listen to the people around you is that many people are coming back. I can see that people that haven't been to the festival for a longer time, they're coming now back. They want to see what's going on. They heard a lot has changed. So if someone would approach you and ask, Simon, what shall I do during this week? What can I not miss when I'm here? What would you tell a person that wasn't here for quite a while and it has changed a lot? What is he not supposed to miss, and what would be your recommendations for that week?
That's a great question. I think the one thing I would start by saying is that they should also focus on the constants. And what I mean by that is go and see the work.
Yeah.
Go and see the exhibition.
Go downstairs.
Go downstairs, come into the Palais, go and see the work, and also attend as many award shows as possible, because it's the only time of year where you get to see it.
And feel it. For me, it's feeling it.
Exactly.
As a German last year, when the FAZ was winning that campaign and we saw Margot Friedländer on there, and then the Grand Prix came up and the people were crying around me.
Wow.
Those moments you will never forget.
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps. And it gives you inspiration, I think. I saw some campaigns in your titanium shortlist where I thought, maybe they have seen that one last year. I got some inspiration.
Yeah, of course. It informs the path forward for all of us. So it's capturing a moment in time. It's part of history.
And what should they not miss also? What is happening maybe behind some doors, or maybe we can listen to some stuff that we are not knowing yet. Is there anything you can maybe spoil some evenings where we should be out here watching something?
I think because it's only coming into its second year, I think Lions creators will be really exciting this year.
Okay.
We had a great launch year with many creators coming to the festival for the first time for that dedicated stream that we have. But we don't open until tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But from what I've seen, the space that has been created for all our delegates coming to take part in the creator economy is looking very exciting indeed.
Okay, now I'm curious as well. I will check it out. Simon, every year I have a question for you of what would be a new lion you would wish to introduce and everything. This year, I had a look onto your program and I saw, wow, you have such diverse people on stage and you're setting really up high standards there as well. If you could wish for one person to come here, what speaker would you wish for to be on stage?
Well, they say never meet your heroes, so probably no one where I'd be disappointed if they were to actually show up and I wouldn't like them. That would be awful. But one thing that I think would be really interesting, there is a recent partnership that's been announced between Johnny Ive, formerly product officer for Apple, and Sam Altman, who runs OpenAI. So I think that would be an incredible session.
That would be both of them on stage.
I'm cheating. I'm having two people coming together.
No, but it's good. But we want both of them on stage, telling us why, what will happen.
Well, just this amazing collision of the creativity that Johnny Ive brings.
Yeah.
But also the artificial intelligence side coming together.
You know what, Simon? There's your camera. Maybe you should say it out loud in there, that whom you wish for.
Johnny, give me a call. We'd love to have you here.
Nice. I like that one. We will bring that one into the world. I have one last question for you.
Go for it.
I know that one will not happen, but because I'm going back to Germany and you're not. But if we were supposed to meet on the airport after the festival, what would you wish for? Would be the first thing I say to you after my week here.
The best thing I think you could say would be, Simon, this has been the best one yet.
And see you next year.
See you next year. Probably right here.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Simon.
Pleasure.
Marian, thank you for doing this again.
Oh, delighted.
I don't want to know what's going downstairs, and you have so much to do and so much on your list, but thank you for doing this with us.
Oh, it's always a treat, as I said, yeah.
I have a lot of questions for you. I try to bring them down very, very fast, and I know anyhow you will put me all the answers in there I need. First one is, with you, since when are you here?
I've been here since Tuesday,
Okay.
so about a week, nearly a week.
Okay, so you can maybe tell me already a little bit about it. What's your gut feeling about this year's festival? What's in it for us?
Oh, well, we've already had some of the Grand Prix are coming in. We've got 22 shortlists out already, so it's going to be a big one. I think it's going to be a really interesting one. We announced earlier this week about the awards. We had 26,900 entered.
Yeah.
And what's in that is really interesting. So we've more participation from independent agencies, which is, again, it's a shift of where the work is coming from. We've more participation from LATAM. Again, more really interesting.
16%, I think.
16%, a huge,
it's
huge,
growing.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that really shows where creativity is coming from, and it doesn't just center in one place. And it really is that kind of global scope. So you're really going to see that across the festival. It's country pavilions, across the creator labs. It's just where creativity is coming from. I think it's a really interesting space this year for sure.
And a huge and diverse mixture of ideas, and it's a celebration of work, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah.
You have not introduced this year new lions, but you did changes within the categories. So you have the long-term hanging on the word.
Brand platform?
Yeah, brand platform. Thank you so much. After 10 years, you did the Glass Lions. You did some updates there. You also, as you said, it's not influencer anymore. It's creator lions. So tell us a little bit about it. Why have you maybe seen there are some changes needed within those categories?
Yeah, so every year we look at the entries into the work, and that kind of tells us what is happening in the industry as it is today. And then we look at the winners, and that tells us what's the shape of it going to be in the coming years. And when we look at the trends last year, I have a team, a product development team, and they pour over the inner entries and they pour over the winners. And we started seeing that specifically within, say, brand platform, brands are building these platforms for a long, long time. So big campaigns that have been running year after year, and there's a real commitment to that creative idea. So we really wanted to celebrate that and actually have that a space for that to be recognized. And then with the glass, it was introduced 10 years ago, and over that time we have seen that how the approach to gender communications has shifted for the better. But actually, when we talked to the jurors, and we talked to entrants, there were things they were saying was that, it needs to be more intersectional, it needs to be broader in scope. So we made that change this year to try and actually see more initiatives from different communities and really reach. And that, what I was saying earlier about the diversity of thought, the diversity of perspective, the diversity of ideas in the competition, it really has opened up that scope for that and a lot more. And that's really kind of where we did it. And similarly with design is another one where we looked.
True, yeah.
And that's another big growth area this year. And again, that's really looking at behavior change and design transformation. And we're seeing how design is a strategic creative partner within the creative industry, and really shaping how consumers and how people behave in the world and within brands as well. It's exciting space for sure.
Do you then get immediate response from the creative? Do they call you, text you, email you saying great idea, or saying, oof, how shall I enter there? Do they try to get out some ideas how to enter best to win maybe also?
Well, we're really collaborative in how we create it.
Yeah.
So we will talk to jurors at the festival, we'll talk to entrants, we'll talk to experts in the industry as well. So we work with, the awards are for the industry, by the industry, with the industry. So we work really closely with them. And yes, we get feedback all the time. And, if we love hearing it, if we only hear good things, we'll never change. So that's really exciting for us when people say that's not right, because then that gives us a challenge to solve. So we do get a lot of that, but actually then that's a lot of work for us to start looking at, and that's kind of where design is really broadening out, and that's an example of that for sure.
What you said, and my ears were like, you have a team working on trends. We have a private setting here, no cameras, no nothing. So maybe have you already seen some trends emerging from the work that has been entered that you can tell me?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that we've noticed is that, in times of, recession or economic hardship, we often see people revert to things that they're familiar with. And last year it was audio and radio and outdoor that were increasing. And this year it's print and publishing, which is up. So it's again going back to those traditional mediums. And then when we look at the trends within the work, one of the things that's really coming out is like vintage and heritage ideas and reimagine. And this comes through every year, but actually it seems to be a little bit more of a shift to really focusing on that medium and actually showcasing that with a modern twist. And it's definitely a pattern we're seeing across all of the Lions, which again is interesting when you think of technology and AI, this kind of vintage perspective with putting the tech over that as well.
Yeah, you see some real great campaigns with only one amazing picture and a punchline or only a logo. This is really classy.
It's a real resurgence to, the complexity of everything else and coming back, like what's the message and what's that key piece. So it's something exciting that we're looking forward to seeing. And I think, when you go down to the basement and look at the exhibition, it'll be really striking to see a lot of that, visual imagery that it's not overly complicated. And that's something really, really striking, I think.
So then when you talk that tradition comes up there more, is there less AI than last year? I think we had 12%, or is there even more this year?
Well, this year, that compulsory question, we had 20%.
Yeah.
20% of people all said it. And that's then just looking at the ideation, it's looking at the development of the campaign, but also of the products and services. And you'll see that in some of the shortlists as well, some of the work. And I think it's, the last year the question was, are you using AI? And I think this year the question is, how are you using AI to help drive the creativity and improve the creativity and free yourself up so that you can do more creative things for your consumers and for the community that you serve.
On what you can see, I talked with Simon about it as well, is that the industry and the festival, we're all going through a transition phase, and it's happening quite a lot. And you onboarded tech, media, entertainment, everything within the festival. From your point of view, what do you think, what's the biggest benefit the festival and also the awards had from onboarding those new categories and new tech and media and entertainment areas?
I think anytime you bring people together from different parts of the sector, different parts of the industry, you get some sort of magic, really looking at everyone's going to come to the same problem with a different perspective on how they would solve that problem. And we see it in the jury rooms as well, right? So they have come to this space with their lived experiences, whether that's in the market that they're from or the sectors that they work in or the brand that they work in. And they come and they see work that is completely different to what they do on a day-to-day basis, and that changes their perspective and it enriches the discussion. So I think that can only be, it's an alchemy of bringing people together, and I think that really helps. And it helps, I think we're all a little bit curious, right? Inherently curious. So I think being in the room and having those conversations with people that you would never normally interact with, I think that's kind of the magic of the festival, really, and it really helps connect those dots that would never be connected before.
We talked last year, or we had the chance, we have to honestly say, to talk to Juan.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And he said that the festival is almost like a big circus. Mm-hmm. And you said staying curious and getting new idea by talking to other peoples. Is that also something that inspires you to bring those people together in the jury rooms? Because the Germans tell us that it is so interesting what kind of people they meet. And there was one of the biggest transitions in there, I think, in the jury rooms, who's sitting there telling you stories. What are the stories you hear from there, from those circuses?
Oh, that jury room that's the most common feedback that we get, that actually this is the most diverse group of people that they've ever been in the room with. And not just from where they are in the world, but you might have a creative specialist, a technical specialist, a brand owner, and they're in the room and they're sitting around they're just looking at work. They're sitting there looking at work from all over the world, from a brand that they may never have heard of, and they're looking at how did they solve this problem for this brand, and it completely shifts their perspective on how to do that. And it's consistently the thing that we get back of being like, this is such an interesting and fascinating discussion, and they learn so much, but also they make really good friends.
Yeah, they make good friends.
Really good friends. The WhatsApp groups are always popping off, and they then just we see so many of people kind of move jobs and promote as a result of their time, maybe 2 years later, and they've actually running a business, and it's because of the connection.
You have those stories of people meeting in there and then they started a business together?
Lots of them, yeah. And, that they then hired or, so there's lots of that kind of stuff where people progress in their careers as a result of being on the jury as well, whether that's, internally within their organization, or that they get promoted, or that they get, hired elsewhere. So it's definitely it's an eye-opening thing for sure for people. And even just sitting in the jury room, my team that was the insights, they sit in the jury room and they hear that, and that's how we feed, all of our editorial content, because that discussion is absolutely magical. Yeah. I keep saying magical, but
one day you have to sneak me in there. I just want to one ear there and listen to them.
That's a closed door conversation.
I know. But is there maybe more pressure now to bring those people together for you? You know what I mean? So because you have those great stories, you have the people in there having, they bring you those diverse topics in there. Is it getting harder to find the people or easier to bring them together in the jury rooms?
I think it's the fact that we're bringing in more people from all over the world. So this year we had the most representation from Africa, from Asia, from the Middle East. And again, bringing those voices into that room means that we're opening this whole other world of brilliant creatives that might not necessarily have had a seat at the table in the past. And that's an opportunity. And just also, specialism. So we had Luxury Lions last year. That's a whole new audience of creative experts that have never engaged with us before. So it's these new audiences and bringing experts in. And I think, the way the industry is evolving so much, the creator industry, we have Casper Lee on the creator jury. He's a creator himself. So it's all of this, the way the industry is evolving so much. I think there's always going to be creative expertise. And that's exciting for us, because it means there's new ways of looking at this work that we see in the jury room.
You're involved in so many topics at this festival, I have the feeling, when I look onto your profile. And you're also involved in See It, Be It, when I'm correct.
So kind of. So I used to be involved in it, and this year I had the absolute privilege of getting to See It, Be It Ghana, which was an event was hosted by a previous alumni. But I think that program is just such a special program. So it's the reason it was created was to kind of increase representation of female leadership in creative roles, and unfortunately that need is still there. So the program is still there, but it has evolved to become this community of passionate individuals who want to make change in this industry, and who also want to bring people along on that journey with them. So, the 15 women who get to come here, I think it's 20 this year, who get to come to Cannes, very often they go off and host things in their own local communities and get to share what they've learned with other people who are maybe at different points in their career, and that then becomes just the paying it forward piece. And it's really beneficial, and it's really privileged to be able to bring that to the community.
What I often see with the festival is that corporates and brands can really learn something from the festival. What do you think they can learn, especially from See It, Be It?
I think it's the openness to be vulnerable. And I think in that See It, Be It, you have people who are coming from a place of wanting to progress and maybe hitting their ceiling at that time and not figuring out how the way, but coming together as a community, being vulnerable and actually sharing what their challenges are. And then that's the power of community coming together, and then they can solve those challenges or find a new route to get to where they need to go. And I think that's something that's quite interesting. Very often as a brand, you're very protective of it, and actually sometimes being vulnerable, being a bit open of this, we don't know what to do here, and kind of working with that community to help. And I guess, when we come to the festival, that is what brands are doing, because they're looking to other communities, other industries, other sectors to be, this is our problem. How do we solve that? And I think that's kind of starting to shape it a little bit.
Coming from Germany, well, we can see one big problem is budget cuts. We have definitely. And from the work you have seen that is entered into the competition, can you see that the budgets were maybe lower, or that maybe there's a different focus on, for example, we have the penny price tags in there, where you can see it's about inflation, not that much money. So do you see those budget cuts, not that much money within companies, but also in the pockets of the people buying those products? So can you see something like that?
I think there's definitely a trend, emerging within that, of doing more with less and actually trying to address those challenges in a different way. And I think one of the things that we were looking at is, adversity, the challenges of budget cuts is actually, I think the phrase is adversity is the mother of innovation. That's the thing of so again, that's when we think of creativity, it's like, I'm hitting a brick wall. How do I get around it? Or how do I get over it? Or how do I get under it? And I think that's starting to come through. People are using technology. People are using their, creative partners. And I think, that's how it always has been. But I think it's moving in that direction as well.
Oh, we will definitely quote you on that one for Germany. Thank you for that one. I have one last one for you. If you would give a friend a piece of advice what they shouldn't miss during this week, what would you say?
I think there's a couple of things. I think one of the things I always say this is that on the Friday afternoon, the Young Lions Winners competition, because it is unbridled joy. And it's like the future of this industry, and there's so much talent in that one space at that one time. It's really, really incredible. And they've come from thousands and thousands of participants. So it's a really, really special moment. And I think it's exciting to see there's such passion in that space. There's passion, and it's hopeful for our industry. And then of course I'm going to say that the basement, because again that's where all of the work is. And there's an exhibition, and we've expanded the exhibition slightly this year to include even more lions, and I think that, again, just walking around that, seeing that exhibition of the work and how great it is and how different it is and how many different brands are involved, it is again really inspiring, and you spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of time walking around there, and then you get onto the awards show at the night, and again that's you can't leave without attending a award show.
And you have those moments in you, when you have seen downstairs one work and then it comes up in the award show and you're like, I knew it.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of people like, oh, that's going to win. That's going to win. And then you're like, I know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, we have to turn down the camera because now I need Marian on my own for my battle with Robert on who is winning Lions here this week. Thank you, Marian.
Thank you very much. Lovely to meet you.